Good morning, everybody. Kyrie Irving has done it. He's changed the acronym of the NBA. Kyrie equals New Black Activism. The NBA is being called an activism athletes group of black players. That's the word that I'm getting from white media, that they're referring to the NBA as a group of activist black players. The NBA has a very big problem, and I told you it's going to blow up in your face. I told you it's going to blow up in your face. We have a very big problem. Let me tell you what the problem is. Obviously, what is taking place in the next few days is that the NBA and the Brooklyn Nets are essentially having to back down and having to reinstate Kyrie Irving. It's going to be an unequivocal reinstatement. That's going to happen. And so when this happens, this is how this is going to go. First and foremost, the Jewish community is going to say, I can no longer support the National Basketball Association, the New Black Activists. I can no longer support them because they do not take a strong stance in anti-Semitism. And so the NBA is going to lose a large demographic of viewers from the Jewish community. Secondly, you're going to also have an effect on the white community, the radical white community, that says things like, and I've heard it and I've seen it on the comments of my channel, well, if a white person would have said that, you guys would have canceled them. So I don't know why you black people are up in uproar over the words of Kyrie Irving, because if a white person would have said it, he'd be canceled. So you're going to have a group of white radical activists who say, I'm no longer watching the NBA. I don't understand either. Google. Also, you will also have your fringe black activists who say, I'm no longer going to support the NBA. I don't like how they treated Kyrie Irving. I don't like how they treat black people. I'm not going to support an organization run mostly by Jewish people, owned by Jewish people, that doesn't have respect for us. I'm going to stop watching the NBA. And some of you are thinking, well, that's not going to happen. I've done it with the NFL, and many guys have done it with the NFL. I don't watch the NFL anymore. I grew up watching the NFL. I grew up admiring all those players in the NFL, Tony Dorsett and Earl Campbell and Rain Refrigerator Perry, and I loved Wendell Tyler. I loved the NFL growing up. I don't watch the NFL. I will not watch the NFL. I will not watch a bunch of plantation owners dealing with black men like they are cattle and discarding them and not putting them in positions that their skill sets can do. The whole concepts and the old conversations, those aren't the conversations anymore about the black quarterback. The whole thing, a lot of you don't like Kaepernick, but the whole principle behind Colin Kaepernick's right to refuse to stand for the national anthem, all these other things. I'm done with the NFL forever. And that's never coming back. So it is possible. And so what has the NBA done? They have pissed everybody off. Everybody's mad. They have fractured their business structure. Their product has been greatly fractured. And I don't have the metrics on it, but I bet, right? Some of you are going to disagree and you can push back because this is just conjecture and theory. I bet, seriously, that the worth of the NBA in general has been cut in half in just these last 2 weeks. Half. You're like, oh, that's ridiculous. Think about this. What do you think the worth of the Brooklyn Nets is right now? What do you think the worth as a team currently constructed with those players? What do you think the worth of the Brooklyn Nets is? Do you think Joseph, I never say his name properly, Joseph Tsai wants to just hide, run out of Dodge? I think so. And imagine if Joseph Tsai was successful in saying, you know what, I don't want this anymore. I'm selling this franchise. I'm getting rid of this franchise. Do you think the next ownership group would walk in there and be like, this is going to be a great plan? Do you think a Jewish ownership group wants to even touch the Brooklyn Nets? Let me explain something, what is taking place now with Jaylen Brown. And let me answer this question too. Is the NBA truly the new black activist group? No. The only activist in the NBA is Kyrie Irving. The rest of those guys are not. And you know, I'll go with Royce White. He's an activist, although he's no longer in the NBA. And Jaylen Brown, I'm hoping that something happens with you, brother. But I think you're just a brother with a good conscience. Are any of the black sports media ex-NBA players or those guys? No, not activists. None of those guys are activists. The only activist in the NBA is Kyrie Irving. The only guy who really represents his culture is Kyrie Irving. None of the rest of them are really activists. Really, none of them. You know, only thing they're responding to right now is, wow, if you guys can do that to Kyrie, you could probably do it to me too. That's really the only thing that's causing them to stand up and to do this right now. But with the NBA and with the mindset behind the NBA, I don't believe that this organization is going to recover soon. It'll recover eventually because people have a short memory, right? People are herds, they have a short memory. But it's not going to recover soon. There's going to be a fallout. And the fallout's going to go like this. Let me show it to you. This is what the permanent fallout's going to be. Permanent. This is going to be a permanent fallout with the NBA. Owners do no longer control the team. Owners do not control those teams anymore. As of today, the second that they back off of Kyrie Irving, which they have to, my words aren't going to do anything. They have to. They're losing money. They don't have a share price, but they're losing a basically, I'll call it a virtual or intellectual property share daily with this thing. It's terrible for their brand. Okay. The NBA is no longer controlled by owners. All an owner is now is a majority shareholder between himself or his group or her group and the players. That's really all they are. They're almost going to be a silent partnership. And yes, they can still trade players and they can still hire and fire coaches if the player doesn't have a no trade clause. But essentially the NBA ownership, that their role, it's becoming, they're going to be very, very silent. They're going to be very, very silent. There's really nothing left for them. The players have taken everything. The players have said, we're going to control the league. We're going to control who we want to coach us. Because I said this before I went viral. I said that the most black players want to be coached by black men in the NBA. That's usually the scenario. Unfortunately, that's the scenario. Is that always right? Or is that always good? No. Right? We can see, we have great white coaches. Steve Kerr is a great example of a great white coach. Nick Nurse in Toronto, great example of a great white coach, right? But Steve Nash, I think they just did not like Steve. I don't think it was anything about Steve's X's and O's. I just think Steve is a Canadian. Remember, Steve's a South African. So Steve grew up with us here in Canada and in Toronto. He's one of our boys. Steve has no problems in the black community, but that's Brooklyn. And these dudes are just different, and they didn't want Steve. And so you're going to have a scenario where these black players, because it's a black league, are going to say, we decide who we're going to let talk to us crazy, who we're going to let speak to us. All right. Popovich is over there, another great white coach, historical Hall of Fame white coach, but a lot of all these other guys, they're not going to let them talk to them. And so what's going to happen is the NBA is going to really be controlled by the players. And that's going to make the voices that sit in upper offices mute. And this is going to teach them a lesson. Joe Tsai, you're the worst owner in the history of the NBA. You're a fool because you've killed your market brand. Okay? Your name is going to be a pariah amongst players. And you think Kyrie Irving is going to respond to your text messages now? Bro, you've lost all your power. So this right here, what you're going to see right now, this is what you're going to see in the next couple of days. Again, you've seen Stephen A., he's already turned. Jason Williams, he's already turned, right? You've seen Shannon, he's coming around. So all these guys are turning, they're turning because they have to, right? The culture has dragged you guys to right thinking. And now what's going to take place is there going to be an outcry. It's going to, as hard as they were to say he should be suspended, he should be banned, he should be let go, they're going to be like, when are they going to bring back Kyrie Irving? It doesn't make sense. He's totally healthy. He's a healthy player. Bring him back. This takes the Nets to lose a game. And they're going to be screaming, why isn't Kyrie Irving back playing basketball? This is ridiculous. And that's how it's going to carry on. Right now. It's going to happen right now. Okay? Just like I said it would be other times with everything else. It's going to happen right now. They're going to be screaming for Kyrie Irving to get back on the court immediately, get back in the gym immediately, right? And the only person going to stop that is Kyrie. And then that's wave one. Wave two, I only got a couple minutes left. Wave two is the fallout that happened to these shoe brands. Especially the shoe brands that are controlled by Jewish people. These shoe brands are going to fall off because this is what's going to happen. And this is what I told the Jewish community that you don't want to do. You do not want to have a war with black people because this is what they're going to do. Right? And I encourage every single shoe buyer, every single sneaker buyer from the black, Latino, and conscientious communities of white communities. And don't get me wrong, I've got a lot of subscribers that are white, conscientious, and they don't like what's going on either. Lots of them. Lots of white folks have said, hey, I'm with you, brother. This is wrong. This should not have happened, because we are all sports fans. We just wanted to watch basketball. We didn't want to have to deal with this, a human rights issue taking place right before our eyes in 2022. We didn't have to deal with this. We didn't want to, and this is my next video, we didn't want to have to deal with the fake anti-Semite cries, the cries from the Jewish community that everybody's an anti-Semite. Right? That's my next video. My next video is the Jew that cried wolf. Right? The anti-Semitic cry that's gone out throughout the world. It's happening in Jerusalem Post, next video. It's happening on CNN, next video. It's happening all over. CBS, the CBC wrote an article saying, oh, if Kyrie Irving would have just listened to scholars instead of Amazon. I'm going to deal with you people next. That's the next video. There's a fake anti-Semitic cry where the Jewish community is screaming anti-Semite. Everybody's an anti-Semite. You guys shot yourself in the foot with this. We just wanted to watch basketball. Now we have to deal with, and this white people alike, we're tired of hearing about a community that is doing well. It's doing well in America. The Jewish community is doing very well in America. A community that is making more than their lion's share of money. A community that nobody's hunting. America will never line up Jews and tell them to put name tags on their chest. Nobody's doing that. Okay? They're blowing up synagogues. No, they're not. There's no Dylan Ruffs. And if they're blowing up synagogues, they're not doing it from the black community. When's the last time you heard a black guy walk up to a Jewish synagogue and stick it up? Okay? Absolutely. Jewish synagogues people have come and done terrible things to synagogues, to mosques, to churches. But I'll let you know right now, you don't want to compare to us. You don't want to compare. You don't want to start saying, well, let's see what's happening to the black community and the black churches and what people are doing atrocities towards black people throughout the history of America and what has happened in synagogues. You don't want to do that with us. You never should have started this fight in the first place. You brought this to us. We didn't bring it to you. Okay? So people are sick and tired of it. They're sick and tired of it. And it has drastically affected the NBA brand. It is, and now this is what's going to happen in my last minute. Consumers are going to start looking into who owns the sports apparel companies and say, I'm not supporting that company because it's owned by Jews. This is what you guys have done to yourself. People are going to be racially motivated and racially biased about buying sneakers. That's what you guys have created. A scenario where I have to now look into the ethnicity of the manufacturer of things that I want to wear on my feet or of things that I want to wear around my neck. This is what you've created. Out of Kyrie Irving, I call him the leader of the new free world. That's right, because he's awakened people simply by reading a book. That's my time. Watch for it. This is the real spiel. Like, share, subscribe. Give me some advice. Tell me what you want me to talk about, what you want to do. The NBA is about to be turned back on, but it's not yet. It's coming. It's coming in a second. It's coming in a minute. They're about to turn it back on. They're about to turn this whole thing around, and Kyrie Irving is about to start playing basketball again. But the fallout, the debris that you guys have to pick up now from what you have allowed to happen, it's a doggone shame. But this is the real spiel. And I'm Del K. Brereton, and I'm out.